Welcome back, everybody, to the Hungaroring for Group 2 of our Drivers' Press Conference. Left to right, we have Oscar Piastri, Ollie Behrman, and Isaac Hadjar. Very warm welcome to you all. Oscar, why don't we start with you? McLaren have won the last two races here in Hungary. What chance a hat-trick?
We'll find out tomorrow. I think we should be a bit more competitive. We've got a few upgrades this weekend, so hopefully that puts us a bit closer to being able to fight. I think in Spa, certainly in the race, we were probably a bit more competitive than we expected, so that was a good thing.
Tell us more about the upgrades. How did they feel on the simulator?
I actually can't remember if I used them on the simulator, so I don't know. It should be faster, that's all I care about. But I feel like we've got a pretty good track record with upgrades for the most part, and how they perform in the sim versus reality. So fingers crossed it just makes us quicker.
Oscar, on a personal level, how are you finding the car at the moment? Are you finding it harder to drive than you did earlier on in the year?
Not necessarily, no. It's been tricky to drive the whole year. I think maybe at the start of the season we had more to worry about on the power unit side of things, in terms of stuff we could actually control and manage ourselves, and things I could do with my driving style, whereas now there's still things we need to be careful of with the power unit, but it's not really in our control as much anymore. So it's more purely about what the car is like, what the balance is like, and I think especially the last couple of weekends, it's definitely been a step harder to drive for whatever reason, whether it's just the layout, wind, type of tarmac, we don't really know, but hopefully this weekend that becomes a bit easier.
And Oscar, we're at the halfway point in the season. Just how would you rate your year so far?
There's been highs and lows for sure. I think probably more lows than highs, unfortunately, but for us as a team, it's obviously not been the first half of the year that we would have liked compared to last year especially. So hopefully the second half of the year can be better. And I think for myself as well, there's been, like I said, some good moments, some not so good moments, and pretty much everything in between. So I want to be able to improve and be a bit more consistently on top of my game, and hopefully we can do that this weekend and in the second half of the year.
Okay. Oscar, thank you very much for that. Ollie, let's come to you now. While we're just analysing our seasons, perhaps we could start with that question for you. How would you sum up 2026 so far for you?
Yeah, it's been a bit long at times. Honestly, I was really happy with how we started the season. We had a really competitive car. Actually, believe it or not, we were fighting with Red Bull in the first few races. They were not coming out the blocks, amazingly strong, but we did a really good job. First two events were really, really good. On top of that, we also, got over the challenges and the nuances of these regulations very efficiently, and we didn't suffer with any reliability issues or software issues in the first few events, and we scored a lot of points. So it was a really good start, and then now it's kind of tailed off a bit. We haven't scored points as a team since Canada, which was where we introduced our last upgrade package, and it hasn't quite brought the performance to the car that basically our competition has been able to bring. Audi, VCarb, Alpine, we were on par / ahead of them at the start of the year, and now they've done, all of those teams have done a good step forward. So yeah, it's been a really long few months since Canada, where to be honest, I think in terms of execution we've been doing a good job. We've got the most out of the car, I've got the most out of myself, but when the most is just P14 or P13 or P12, it starts to get a bit old. So yeah, we're eagerly awaiting the next bit of performance that we have to add onto the car, which hopefully will come soon, and hopefully that can make the second half a bit more fruitful.
Is the deficit you talk about track specific? So like this weekend, let's talk about the Hungaroring. Do you think you will be more competitive than you have been of recent?
I think it's track specific in the sense that we struggle a bit more in power limited compared to the Merc engines and the what's your engine called? Ford. Rebel powertrains. So yeah, compared to those, we struggle a bit more in the track like Spa, like Silverstone as well. But that's not an excuse for us because Ferrari was incredibly strong in those tracks, and we have the same engine. So that's not that's not something we can hide behind. Clearly, we are lacking performance in the whole package. I don't know what to expect this weekend if that's what you're asking. Let's wait and see.
All right, Ollie, thanks for that. And Isaac, let's come to you. I mean, you went so well last weekend. Just sum up the season so far for you as well. Let's start with that.
Yeah, I mean, it started a bit tricky the first couple of rounds. I feel like I was doing the easy stuff really wrong, and the tough things, like being quick, in the rhythm and not too far from Max, really well. And since, like the last couple of rounds, I think I found some consistency, and in the team we fixed a few issues that makes our life easier. So, it's a lot easier when the car is reliable. When it's performing, it's easy to achieve results. Not gonna lie. So, it's good, but at the same time, I would love to, have a race where I can actually fight for a real podium, and that's the next target.
When you say the easy stuff, what do you mean?
I think the starts carried a long time, like for a long time, and that's not easy things to fix, but I was more referring to deployment issues at times, understanding the boost features, spinning on lap 1, not ideal. Just stuff like that, ruining our weekends. But yeah, that takes a bit of adjustment. And now I think we're well settled in.
Well settled in, and you're on a run of 6 consecutive points finishes. Just how much confidence do you have behind the wheel now?
Good. It's a car I handle well. It's not the easiest to drive, but it's consistent. I get the most out of it since a few rounds now. So no, I'm definitely happy. It was still not where I want to be. There's still a few things, a few areas we're lacking, competitiveness compared to Ferrari and Mercedes. So yeah, we still need to dig, but it's definitely good progress.
All right, thank you for that. Let's now open this to the floor. We will start with the broadcasters and David Croft.
David Croft, Sky Sports F1. A question to you, Oscar, because I think you suffered more at Spa than Ollie or Isaac. Do you drive the car unaided at all times? And if not, has that always been the case? But if you should, what should you be doing with these power units that you can't at the moment?
I mean, to give you the full answer, I need probably half an hour. But, I think even with the previous hybrid engines we had, there was a big element of learning and coding and AI to some extent. But one, obviously, when I joined F1, those engines were incredibly mature, but also the penalty of things being slightly wrong or slightly out of place was significantly less because it was such a small percentage of the overall power you got. Whereas this year, it's basically half your power. So any small differences, anything that doesn't quite go right, it has a massive impact, especially at a track like Spa. To answer your question, we've got no control over where the deployment happens, more or less. You can push the boost button, but that's more for overtaking than in qualifying, especially. So, yeah, like I said in Spa, when you've got those differences there that you have no control over, it can be frustrating, obviously. So I'm sure it'll get better and it'll improve. I don't expect it to ever fully go away, But I think as the manufacturers understand it more and work out the regulations, the restrictions more on what the code can and can't do, then hopefully things will become a bit better.
Thank you, Oscar. Next.
Mara San Giorgio, Sky Sport F1 Italy. A question to Oscar, me too. Tomorrow you will leave your car to Leonardo Fornaroli during F1. Have you had the chance to talk to him in recent months? Does he seem ready for F1, Oscar?
I think so. He's been at a lot of races with us as a team. He's already done an FP1 in Barcelona, and I thought he did a really good job. So, I think he's been impressive. It's been good to see and cool to see how involved with all the engineers he is, even with me and Lando as drivers. Always asking questions and wanting to know more, which is an important part of improving and being a good racing driver. So, I think he's obviously shown what he can do in the junior categories, and I think he's been very good to work with McLaren. So, hopefully, he does a good job of setting up my car tomorrow.
Thank you, Oscar. Next.
Lukas Ostovic from ORF. Oscar, you are talking about the lack of control with the energy deployment. Does it sometimes feel like you're the passenger of an AI program that still has to be trained?
Sometimes, yes. Again, at a track like Spa or a track like Silverstone, it's going to be worse. Here, I really don't expect there to be many problems at all with that kind of thing, because the straights are so much shorter. So even if there are differences, they should be a lot less. But yeah, when the principle of driving a race car that loses effectively half of its power before the end of the straight is hard to get your head around sometimes. And even in Spa, a lot of the middle sector, we were doing it just on the combustion engine with no battery assistance at all, which is a weird feeling in itself. Having some corners with a certain amount of power, others with full power. But yeah, I think Spa was particularly frustrating, not just for me, but for quite a lot of others, because those small differences in the code and what the engines did made quite a big difference in lap time. And especially at the front of the field, I think there was still only 900ths or something separating 4 positions, and there was definitely more than 900ths on the table for quite a few drivers with nothing that they could control.
Thank you.
Hi guys, Rui Chagas for DAZN Portugal. Question to Oli. Did you ever expected to outperform your teammate like this throughout this season? And again, do you expect the same at this track, taking into consideration that it's his only win here?
It's a tough situation which is happening at our team. We've been speaking about it a lot, but the inconsistency between our parts has been quite high. I've been on the bad side of that. I've also been on the good side of that. But it's a shame because it means that you're always chasing a moving target, and overnight we can have changes to our car balance without expecting that. All of that to say, it's not always a fair fight, the one that we are having, and sometimes we feel like we're fighting with our hands almost tied behind our back. Of course, I feel like I'm performing at a really high level, and I really see a step in my performances from 12 months ago, even from the start of the season, and that's all I can do, right? At this stage, we're not in the fight for points. We're not in the fight to do a whole lot other than try and get the most out of ourselves and learn as much as possible in this difficult period, hoping that soon we're going to have the performance to put that to work and score points. It's been a challenge for us. I'm happy with what I'm doing, but the story is not necessarily what you see on the headline.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, Mariana Becker from TV Globo. For the three of you, It's been 8 weeks, 6 races, lots of ups and downs for the three of you. We don't know if you're going to finish this part of the championship on the high or low, it doesn't matter. But how do you face these 2 weeks off? Do you want to not think about Formula One, or do you want to improve? Do you try to go through data or something? Do you try to use a simulator at home? How do you face these next 2 weeks?
Isaac, let's start with you.
Oh yeah, a lot of laps on the sim. I don't know. Honestly, I think for the team we need to. It's a lot of things we don't understand on our car, so I think racing nearly every weekend is not helping to understand that. So hopefully when we come back in Zandvoort we do have more answers. But yeah, on my side I really want to chill a bit and come back, because it's going to be a tough second half.
Ollie?
Yeah, same sentiment really. I mean, it's important to reset and rest and take your mind away from racing, which is these last few months have been incredibly full on. And I think to find that motivation to keep pushing, particularly when the results are not necessarily there, it needs to be found by having a bit of a break and having your mind elsewhere. So I'm excited for a bit of time off, and then of course focusing in the final week off on what lies ahead. Like I said, we have some upgrades coming after the summer break, so for me it's more about trying to get myself in a position to get the most out of the car when the performance comes, because realistically we're not going to be in the fight for points this weekend.
I think we'll enjoy the break, and like Isaac said, it's a very demanding second half of the year, and we don't fully know where we're going to be racing all the time. But I think the break is always a nice moment to just reset. Obviously, we're very limited in the work we can do with our teams, but yes, you can do some laps on the simulator if you want at home. Not for the first week. I'm going on holiday somewhere with an ocean and sand. So, I think having a bit of a reset is always a nice thing to have.